Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We greatly appreciate you. Check us out online, consumerqb.com as well. Coming up here, we're going to be talking with Rebecca Vazquez, property management expert, contributor on the show, HomeRiver Group. And before we do, we always like to feature our real estate properties live on air as part of our strategy. So if you're a seller or know someone who's looking to sell real estate, it doesn't matter if it's commercial, vacant land, or residential, we'd love to help you. And part of our strategy is where we feature our listings live on air on our syndicated radio and TV show, seen and heard by thousands of people every day. And we want to help you win in any marketplace, as we say. All right, 14 Baywood Drive, Palm Harbor. This is one of my favorite listings. It's a beautiful home. You have a community that has a private boat ramp, so you can back your boat down the ramp and go out and go fishing or skiing and enjoy that Tampa Bay lifestyle, that Florida lifestyle. 14 Baywood Drive, Palm Harbor, 2913 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath. You got a completely remodeled 3-story home, wood-burning fireplace in the living room, vaulted ceilings, pool, and a screened-in back porch. Waterfront community, Baywood Drive, Palm Harbor. One of our top listings here with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. 3058 Mildred Drive in Palm Harbor. This is another great opportunity to own a waterfront home. This is on the canal leading out to Lake Tarpon. Mildred Drive in Palm Harbor is a beautiful home. You've got a pool, screened-in pool. You've got access to Lake Tarpon. 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, spacious corner lot, 1,380 square feet. And there's no HOA here, so you can park your RVs or your boats right there in your fenced-in backyard. 3058 Mildred Drive, Palm Harbor. You can see all of our real estate listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. PlatinumCoastalElite.com. All right, welcome in, Rebecca. Pleasure to be talking with you here on the show, and property management is our topic for today.
Great. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Yeah, so property management it's kind of one of these different areas of real estate. Sometimes people typically think of sales, but property management is such a big winner in this type of an economy. Airbnb is another trend. What services do you provide?
So we do full service, long-term property management. We don't focus on the short-term at all right now.
Yeah, short-term is just more of the, it seems like kind of the apps have those covered up, right? A lot of the... They
do, and it's just a whole different market. The turns, the maintenance on them, it just will take a whole different setup than we provide right now.
Right.
So we like to stick with what we're comfortable with.
Are you normally 6 months or more on the property management?
7 months for state of Florida is what we try to do.
Yeah.
But definitely 1 year is what we try to focus on. Just it's a better turn on for the investors. They don't have to turn it as often.
Right. So you have investors with those markets. You're doing a lot with investors.
Investors are single mom and pop owners. That's actually most of our business is just the one-off mom and pop here or there. We work the whole state of Florida, so
statewide coverage.
Yes,
that's awesome. So what are the benefits of a property manager? I know some people try to do real estate on their own. They think they want to do it on their own, but what's some of the benefits?
So obviously having your life back. Property management takes a lot, especially the work orders seem to come in at 6 o'clock. That's when they start coming in. My air's not working. It's a Friday. You're trying to head somewhere with your family, so definitely having that life with your family you've built to get investments and have income coming in. So now, you want to be able to go and enjoy your life. So doing that, we take care of all the maintenance scheduling for you, collecting the rent. If there's any issues with the rent, we stay up on all the laws regarding rentals. So we definitely will make sure that we're abiding by all of that and not giving them that leeway. Landlords and tenants, the relationships, the tenants tend to take more advantage of them if there's not a professional in between.
Right.
They feel more sorry for them than this is a business for us.
Right.
When they tell the story, the landlords tend to be like, oh, you can pay a couple days later, and that turns into longer and longer each month. So
Yep.
We have that professional relationship with them, and we keep it professional. And it just works out better for everyone.
Yeah, it gives you that insulation as well, that that third party, that person that's in between. Like you said, it's a business relationship. And I think, too, one of the challenges with people trying to do things on their own, if they do or in some cases say the wrong thing, they're opening themselves up to litigation.
Correct. Yes, and that's a huge thing. Fair housing is big. I like to sit on some of these websites where people ask questions when they're doing it themselves, and some of it is actually scary what they're asking. They should be talking to an attorney, and they're asking people on the internet. So it is. Litigation is a huge thing,
Yeah.
especially when you're speaking of somebody's housing, because there's so many rules and regulations on it.
Right. We're talking with Rebecca Vazquez here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes, and she is with HomeRiver Group, and she's the business development manager, and they do property management, managing your real estate properties, your portfolio of real estate properties, and they can definitely help you with that. Now, you also have technology as a big part of business these days. Of course, innovation's coming. What types of technology are you able to use?
So it's came a long way since you would go to the houses and collect the rent, for sure. We definitely have everything set up, starting with tenant screening. That is actually outsourced for us right now, so it's not something that we have to sit there and go over ourselves, but we do require 3 times the rent for income. We do a credit, criminal, and rental history check. For the income, we have people making up pay stubs on the internet. We have the company that we use they screen that. They can tell if it's made up. The math has to add up. It's just a lot to inquire. And they also have the back side. They can get in and look at it through ADP and make sure that, those are actually legit pay stubs that are coming in instead of those that are so easily created nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people faking their pay stubs. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. What we've also seen in the property management / rental side of real estate over the last several years has been this almost a takeover of institutional buyers coming in. The
Right.
big companies, BlackRock, Vanguard, some of these other, even Zillow was getting in on the game. And they're coming in and jacking up the rents on these folks, and a lot of times, and that's just a bad trend over the years for people. I think more than ever now. We're going to play here in a minute about credit card debt. Almost $1 trillion now. Americans have the highest amount of credit card debt. But have you seen that trend too? Have you seen a lot of institutional buyers, people coming in and buying up properties?
We have managed for some of the largest. We have managed for Progress Residential. We started them up until they went out on their own. We do have a IAG side, the institutional side of our company, and it is about 50%, I would say, is IAG clients still. So yes, and it has made a huge impact on the rent because when they're buying such large portions in one neighborhood, it's going to take. They're just comping out each other, and then the rents are increasing. So it has gotten very difficult. The mom and pops, but it has helped them dramatically also because you have the one-off in the neighborhood where there's a majority and your rents are going higher, so your investment is going higher.
Right.
It's difficult on the younger professionals who are trying to get their first rental, especially moving to the area.
Right.
It's increased the rent a lot, but it has helped the mom and pops as far as their rental rates.
Yeah, the rental rates have definitely gone up. It looks, if you're not in a position to own real estate, you kind of fall into that camp of being a renter. And unfortunately, it's, maybe due to credit or income potentially not being able to save enough. And those are the folks that my heart goes out for in a lot of cases, when you have, and I've seen studies where it says by the year 2030, the amount of institutional purchases of homes or single family residences is going to go up to a 40% by, it's projected by some of these big, home buyers, institutional buyers. So, to me, that's not the American way. It's not, housing wasn't meant to be an investment for a pool of investors, to be able to buy up and then kind of squeeze out the, maybe the folks that just graduated high school, they came out with a trade, or maybe somebody that graduated college, they come out with a degree, and to be able to go out and own real estate, to buy a home and kind of start building that, like a lot of us did, to me, it seems like it's not the right way for our country to be going,
Yeah, and I think the builders are getting used to it. They are trying to stop the investors from coming in and purchasing in new communities as well as they can, because it is, especially if people are managing it themselves, they're not maintaining the yards and they're still trying to sell the community. It's difficult for them.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of people that are trying to fight it back, but the investors are, and they have slowed down. I will tell you, our institutional clients have definitely put the brakes on right now as the market is shifting a little.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a good point. I mean, it has shifted, and of course, the interest rates rising It seems like it may not, the interest rates wouldn't have affected them as much because of, they're probably pooling cash. They're pulling cash from a lot of investors, so they don't need the finance side. But I think just in general, the slowdown has caused a lot of folks to pump the brakes. A lot of the investors, just in general, you're seeing more days on market. We are seeing price reductions, we call them improvements on the listing side. So yeah, the market changing. And it'd be interesting to see also, the states in which they are, focused on. I bet you, there's some, of course, Florida, number one in net migration last year, 319,000 people voting with their feet, moving to Florida. Taking advantage of, what we have here, of course, the sunshine, and then, some of our political beliefs in this state in general is in a sense where, hey, it's more freedom over lockdowns, those types of things, and mandates. So more with Rebecca Vazquez here coming up in just a moment. HomeRiver Group, property management expert contributor. So if you need anything with your property management, I'd love for you to give us a call on the hotline, 727-263-3707. That's 727-263-3707. That's an off-air number. You can call or text that line, and we'd love to hear from you and support all of our show partners. And supporting the local economy is so key. It's so crucial. Spending your dollars wisely these days. That's very important. More with Rebecca on the flip side of this break, and we'll be right back. Please don't touch that dial.
Hey, everybody, it's the Captain, Matt Bruce, and you're listening to my buddy, Brandon Rhymes, a consumer quarterback. Sell, Brandon, sell.
You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the show. We greatly appreciate you spending some time with us and supporting the show. We had an uptick in calls last week, so that's much appreciated. We have Rebecca Vazquez in studio, HomeRiver Group, property management expert contributor on the show, talking about the rents, property management, tenant rights, landlords, and more here on the program. Before we do, I want to thank one of our sponsors, InnovativeSolarFL.com. Check them out online, InnovativeSolarFL.com. For any of your solar needs, reach out to them. They do residential, commercial solar. Also one of the trends has been that technology has improved and the cost of solar has come down over the years. I actually have 52 panels on my home, and solar makes sense in Florida. So InnovativeSolarFL.com. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. Take them up on those special offers. Now, we always like to feature our real estate listings live on air as part of our strategy to help sellers sell faster for more money. And we've got a listing here on Lake Palermo Road in Waimama. This one's in southeastern Hillsborough County, Waimama, Florida. 3413 Lake Palermo Road, 3734 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 3.5 bath. You got a Mediterranean style home. This is in a gated community, open concept, gourmet chef's kitchen, wraparound patio, private pool, hot tub, outdoor kitchen, just a gorgeous estate style home, nice color scheme, and just a beautiful property. 3413 Lake Palermo Road, Waimama, Florida. That's Hillsborough County. Also, 2817 Gulf City Road in Ruskin, Florida. We've got a lot of vacant land listings available for sale. This is one of our favorite as far as waterfront as well. 23 acres on the Little Manatee River right here in Tampa Bay. You got bay access, direct access to the Gulf of Bay, deep water. Go out there and go do some grouper fishing, enjoy that Florida lifestyle to the fullest. 2817 Gulf City Road, Ruskin, Florida. It's Hillsborough County. Great ROI opportunity. Could be townhome community, condo community, potentially. Of course, you got to get it zoned. You got to go through the zoning, talk to the county, get the density and all of that squared away and figured out. Also, a lot of RV parks popping up these days. A lot of people love to go RVing. A lot of folks are going to that retirement age saying, hey, I'm going to buy an RV and kind of cruise the country. So great opportunity. Gulf City Road, Ruskin, Florida, one of our vacant land listings. We got about 60 listings here in Tampa Bay, residential, commercial, and vacant land. And maybe good idea to buy some dirt.
Buy dirt, find one you can't live without.
Rebecca Vazquez in the house, HomeRiver Group, property management expert contributor. HomeRiver.com is the website. And wanted to go through some of the other benefits of long-term versus a short-term situation with these VRBOs, these Airbnbs.
Yes, so obviously stability is one of them. It's much easier to look at your long-term, what you're going to make, because there's a lot of vacancies with short-term, but also zoning regulations are constantly changing as far as the Airbnb markets right now. A lot of the cities are fighting back on them. A lot of the websites, you're not paying your taxes, so they're going to start getting more enforceable on that also. But
That's interesting. When you look at the Airbnb, VRBO model, those short-term rentals, so they're collecting the money online, and then the municipalities are missing out on that tax revenue. Is that what you're saying is happening? And I mean, think of the scale of that too. If they're able to do it via the internet or an online app.
right, like Airbnb, it's a Chinese company. It's coming out of there, so therefore they do send a tax statement at the end of the year, but a lot of people aren't claiming it like they are required to, and they do control that as far as the long term, the real estate companies, because we have to send the W-9s in at the end of the year for each of our owners. So they can't control it as much. So that there is going to be some pushback on that.
That's interesting. I didn't realize a Chinese company, Airbnb, was a Chinese company.
Yeah, it's not a U.S. company, so
Wow.
therefore when you call them customer service, although a lot of the ones here are like that also.
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
But just the saturation, there's a lot of people, because the money, they think nightly you can add up to this much, but they're not
Yep.
taking in the vacancy. So a lot of people are purchasing them, and there's a lot for sale. If you look in the markets, we've had quite a few that have switched over. They're furnished, which makes it a little more difficult for long term, and we do tell them that it is going to take a little bit longer if it's furnished. It's not a benefit.
It's not a
lot of
benefit. People
think.
prefer to bring their own furniture.
Correct, especially for long term.
Interesting.
So it's very saturated right now, especially Tampa, Orlando. We're getting a lot that are switching over because their vacancy rates are so high right now.
That's interesting. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have thought that. Just by a general perception that you see. Yeah, that's interesting. What are some other tips that you have? Let's go tips for landlords. Let's say if it's a landlord, what's some of the top tips, consumer advocate thoughts that you may have?
I would say
that?
tenant screening is the most important thing that you can do.
Yeah.
A lot of people meet people, they think they're very nice, they don't do a good background screening, and then they're left hanging at the end because they move in, they have the funds to move in, but then they can't pay the rent monthly. It's just pulling string, just trying to get that out of them is difficult. So I would say definitely do your back work, make sure you have something in place as far as screening goes. And also the generations now, a lot of landlords think they don't have to do renovations, they don't have to do a lot of stuff for upkeep, and they're looking for modern homes nowadays. So if you're purchasing something, you need to consider that you are going to have to renovate it much more than you used to get away with as landlords, because that's what people are looking for, and that you are competing with the IAG accounts where they are renovating them, they're coming in, they're painting them, they're redoing the whole kitchen and baths, and that's your competition. So you need to consider that when you're purchasing a house, that you need to be out there to, especially to get the rental rates that you're expecting.
Right. Yeah. Keep it neutral colors,
Right.
Types. Even if you're doing granites and whatnot, keep it neutral colors. Are you noticing? Is it still kind of like a first, last month, and a security deposit? Is that kind of what people are structuring now?
Most people have gotten rid of the last month rent. First and security is usually what is required for move-ins across the board. If you throw in the last month, you're going to be a little tougher competition.
A little tougher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another barrier to entry.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so, and then you had mentioned the screening. When you do that screening, are you doing that in-house with your company, or you have a third party maybe that you work with?
We actually have a third party that does it, but there's a lot of apps and stuff that can do it. If you are managing on your own, there's definitely on the web you can get anything done nowadays. But we do ours third party, which it just frees up the time for the property managers and our leasing agents.
Right.
So that they don't have to worry about that.
Now, is it a credit check and a background check typically?
Yes. So we do a credit, criminal, and rental history.
Got it.
Florida has a lot of HOAs. They're going to want to see that criminal history. Most of them ask for it when you get an applicant approved. So you definitely want to make sure that you get that criminal background done also.
Yeah. Another reason why Florida is, great is, if you look at the almost polar opposite New York. I remember they were in the news last year. New York City specifically took away the right to ask some of these questions or to even pull a credit check or a criminal background check, wasn't it? Did you catch that in the news?
They're trying to do it in Florida. I feel like every state is attempting to do it. So we'll just see how long we can. But I mean, I do think it's important. You know, the registry is out there for a reason. People don't want to live next door. If that's all we need is to get all the neighbors angry at you from the beginning, then they're gonna constantly complain to you as a landlord.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just common sense. I mean, that's where this country's gone. There's common sense is going away. You know, hey, why not check the person for criminal, you know, if they're a felon or especially even a pedophile, you know, you should be able to know that. That's almost a right of the, you know, the normal citizens, right? I mean, that's a right to know who's living next door if they've been convicted of a felony, especially that type when it involves children. All right, here's our credit card debt. We're going to talk about this. Credit card debt, Americans, the highest on record.
All right, Kevin, so credit card debt continues to hit record numbers. What are we seeing here?
Well, as the government goes deeper into debt, so are individual Americans. According to new data from the first quarter of 2023, Americans have never been more in the red. That's personal credit card debt hit $986 billion last quarter. That's according to the Fed, and some estimates actually put the number even higher. Wallet Hub, for example, says it's actually over $1.2 trillion. All told, the average U.S. household now carries around $10,000 in credit card debt. And remember, this comes after a period in which Americans actually made huge progress in paying off their debt. In 2020, credit card debt fell from around $930 billion to $780 billion as people received stimulus payments and spent less money as the economy shut down.
Right.
But since then, things have gotten worse at a record pace.
Yeah, record paces in, you know, you look at all the inflation, record pace increase on pricing for pretty much anything you buy. You know, gasoline, food, rents have gone up. We've talked about credit card debt. Unfortunately, people are hurting. Credit card debt is up. And it's interesting, too, back in 2020, it was actually going the other way where you had such a great economy under President Trump. All right, Rebecca, about 30 seconds back to you. Final thoughts and how can folks connect with you?
So you can reach us through the website. It is HomeRiver.com. If you're local to Florida, and I do cover the Georgia market, my cell is 813-810-0807. Feel free to reach out. You can call or text me. I would be happy to discuss the properties that you have.
And repeat that number one more time.
The phone number was 813-810-0807. And our website is HomeRiver.com.
All right, good stuff. Rebecca Vazquez, thanks so much for all of those professional tips there on the Consumer Quarterback Show. HomeRiver Group, check them out online. Also, thanks to Brian Lewis, Top Quote Insurance as well. Another great show. I want to thank all of our expert contributors, our producers, Alex, Jose, Nicole, the team behind the scenes doing a great job as always. We want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community. And we'll see you next time. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call